everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so thankful that you're here. My name is Grace and I'm currently 19 weeks pregnant with twins. Wow. So, twins. There are some signs and some early symptoms that may point to a possibility that you're having twins. So that is what we're going to talk about in today's video. Basically, what might happen in those first like 8 or 9 weeks before you actually go to an ultrasound, which 8 and 9 weeks is kind of typical when you go to your first ultrasound. Some people go earlier, of course, but in that first chunk of your first trimester, there are some symptoms that you might exhibit that might kind of point to the possibility of you having twins. Maybe that's something you're really excited about, maybe that's something you're terrified, and of course, all of these things are, you know, just symptoms. Nothing is for sure until you actually go to the ultrasound and see for yourself whether you have 1 baby, 2 baby, 3 baby, 4 baby, however many babies you might have. So before I jump into the actual symptoms, there are some other factors that you might already possess that might make you a little bit higher of a possibility of conceiving twins. Now, there are 2 different types of twins. There are identical twins and fraternal twins. Identical twins is when 1 egg is fertilized by 1 sperm, and in the fertilization going down into your uterus kind of process, it splits. And that's what becomes identical twins. Now, identical twins, doctors and scientists don't even really know why that happens. The splitting of the egg, it's totally random. It can happen to anyone at any time. There are no factors that you might already have that could indicate whether you might have an identical twins or not. It's totally random. Fraternal twins, however, there can be some things that you might, some attributes that you already have that might make you a little bit more likely to conceive twins. So I'm going to go over those really quick and then we'll get into the symptoms. So first off is carrying the twin gene. So the twin gene is if someone like your grandmother had fraternal twins, your mother had fraternal twins, maybe you are a fraternal twin, your sister had fraternal twins, someone very close to you, a female, very close to you in your family has had twins, you might carry the twin gene. If you happen to have fraternal twins and one of them or both of them are boys, those boys can actually pass the twin gene on to their daughter. I didn't have this gene. There is no one in my immediate family that has fraternal twins. Even if you don't have that gene in your family, doesn't mean that you're not going to conceive twins, because I am living proof that it can still happen. The next one I think is so interesting. So if you are from African descent, and I think it's specifically, I should have looked this up, I think it's specifically West Africa has the highest like density population of twins in the whole world, which is so fascinating. So if you happen to be from African descent, specifically I think it's West African, then you have a higher chance of conceiving twins. You can tell clearly I am the palest woman on the planet, so I don't have that gene, obviously. But I just think that's so interesting. Next one is maternal age. So if you are 35 years old or older, which is considered a geriatric pregnancy, which is just ridiculous. But the older you are, the higher likelihood that you're actually going to conceive twins, which is so interesting. I don't know the exact science. I think it probably has to do with, you know, as we age, our muscles kind of relax and sag. So maybe that also has to do with our like ovaries and fallopian tubes and all that kind of stuff. Like everything's just a little more relaxed. Maybe that's why. I don't really know. I'm not a medical professional, clearly. I'm 31, so I didn't have that going for me either. Next one, and I don't even know the science behind this one, is the taller you are, the more likely that you are to have twins. I am 5'6", so I don't really know if that's considered tall or not. I've never thought I was tall. I thought I was very average. So I'm picturing more like if you're 5'10" or above, you're more likely to conceive twins, which is very interesting. I don't know the science behind that. So if you're a tall gal out there, you have a little bit higher of a chance to conceive twins. And the last one is if this is not your first pregnancy, you're a little bit more likely to conceive twins. This is my first pregnancy, so I didn't have that one going for me either. So, all this to say, if you have some of those attributes, you might be a little bit more likely to conceive twins. However, comma, if you don't have any of those attributes, I literally don't have any of them and I still conceive twins. So it can still happen. Don't lose hope. It can still happen. So let's get into those symptoms. First off is having a high HCG level. So HCG is the pregnancy hormone that your body starts emitting immediately upon becoming pregnant. And that's also the hormone that our pregnancy tests test for. So if you are having multiples, typically your body will be producing double or triple the amounts of HCG. There are a couple different ways that you can find out whether you have high levels. One is going and getting tested. So some women, as I said, most women go and get their first ultrasound around like 8 or 9 weeks, but some women have to go in earlier. Maybe that's because you're having fertility treatments, maybe you've struggled to get pregnant, or you've had a series of miscarriages and things like that, and so upon finding out that you're pregnant, you go in for testing and an observation and everything like that really early. They might test for HCG levels, and if it happens to be kind of double the normal or triple the normal, there's a chance that's because there's more than one baby in there. The other way, without getting tested, is your actual pregnancy test. So this only kind of works if you test pretty early, because the later on in your pregnancy, you're producing enough HCG anyway, whether you're having one or multiple babies, that this doesn't really matter. But if you test really early, and you get your results really fast, and that line is really strong, that's a sign that you have more HCG going through your body. Now, this is my first pregnancy, so most of these things that I talk about, I didn't realize at the time were signs that I was having twins, but in hindsight, a lot of them were accurate, and this was one. So my husband and I had been trying. This actually, we got pregnant on our 2nd month, which was very unexpected. I did not expect it to happen that fast, and we're so thankful. But so I was testing pretty early. I didn't test too crazy early because I was terrified about the possibility of having a chemical pregnancy and then getting so excited and then it not working out. So I put it off as long as I could. But I tested the day before I was expecting my next period, which isn't crazy early, but it's also not late because most people don't find out they're pregnant until they've missed their period. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. So I got up and I tested, and I was fully expecting a negative pregnancy test because I didn't feel like I had any of the 2-week wait symptoms or anything. But it came back positive, and it was very exciting. But it came back positive really fast, and the line was very strong. And I just thought, this was my first time I'd ever gotten a positive pregnancy test, so I thought, like, that's just normal. The pregnancy test knows I'm pregnant, so it's just going to be a strong line. But then I immediately started doing a whole bunch of research about pregnancy, because this is my first pregnancy. And so I would see a whole bunch, tons and tons of pictures of women, like, holding their positive pregnancy test, smiling and so happy. And I noticed, like, I clocked it, I noticed that many of these women, most of them, on their pregnancy test, the like pregnant line, the 2nd line, was super faint. Very, very faint. You could barely see it. And I literally thought to myself, like, that's not at all what mine looked like. And I'm using the same pregnancy test that that lady did, and that's not what mine looked like. She must have tested, like, the day after ovulation or something. Like, I really, that's what I thought. But in hindsight, now I know it's because I was pumping a whole lot of HCG through my body. So that is one sign that you might be expecting multiple babies. Of course, every pregnancy is different and every woman's body is different. So some women just naturally produce more HCG, whether you have 1 or 2 or 3 babies in there. So it's definitely not a foolproof one, but it might be a little indication that, ooh, it's a little different. The next one is if you get a bump pretty much right away. So this isn't really gonna be so true for women who have had babies before, because you do just naturally get a bump faster. But if this is your first pregnancy and you get a bump pretty fast, that's kind of an indication that there might be more things going on than you know, because your uterus already with 1 baby expands like double or triple its size like really quickly. So with 2 babies or 3 babies, it's expanding even more. And that's another thing that happened for me, but I didn't really realize it. I had heard that like the first couple weeks of pregnancy you bloat a lot, which I did. But then I had heard that like, but then your belly kind of goes back to its normal size, and then you start developing a real baby bump not until like around 19 or 20 weeks. But that was not my experience. I for sure bloated, heck yeah. But then the bloat just kind of never went away, and I just always had like a pooch that wasn't there before. And then it slowly grew. I mean, now I'm 19 weeks, and I do have a baby bump. It's not huge, but the initial bump was kind of always there, and I did kind of notice. I was like, this is a little bigger than I thought it would be at this stage. I'm only like 6 weeks or something. So that's another indication there might be something going on. Next up is, because of those very high HCG levels, your nausea, your exhaustion, your emotions, everything is gonna be cray-cray, out the wazoo. So the way my doctor put it, when we found out I was having twins, he was like, I don't want to discourage you or rain on your parade, but twin pregnancies are hard, and everything is gonna hit you twice as early and twice as hard. And that was very true. I didn't really know this at the time because this is my first pregnancy and I can't compare it to a singleton pregnancy, but I for sure had very, very severe nausea. I had very intense exhaustion, like unlike anything I'd ever experienced, and my emotions were out the wazoo. So, but I was just thinking that's just how this pregnancy is gonna go. My sister had a really, really rough first pregnancy, and she only had one baby, but I think she probably had HG, but she never actually got diagnosed with it, but like her nausea was insane, and like her entire pregnancy was just really hard. And so I was just picturing like, oh, I guess I'm gonna have a pregnancy like Melody. Great. And so, you know, it's not necessarily something that you can absolutely bank on, but if you have had a baby before, a singleton baby before, and maybe this pregnancy feels way more intense and way more difficult, it might be because there are two babies that are making your life very challenging. Okay, this next one it's a little bit hard to even notice unless, again, if you're trying, you might be noticing these things, but that is having 2 implantation cramps. So what is an implantation cramp? So once your egg is fertilized by a sperm and it has made its way into the uterus and all that, you have to, the egg has to basically implant into your uterus. And this is such a gross way to describe this, and this is not how it actually happens, but it's almost like it like eats its way into like the uterine wall. It doesn't have little teeth, but like it has to burrow into the uterine wall. And some women can actually feel a little pinch. Not all women. So if you don't feel this, don't freak out. It doesn't mean that you're not pregnant. And this happens before you even know you're pregnant. So this is before you've taken your test. But some women, genuinely, they feel like a little pinch, or they feel a little cramp or something like that. That's the actual like implantation happening. So if you happen to be one of those women who feel that, if you're having multiple babies, you might feel multiple pinches or multiple cramps. That is one that I do think that I experienced, but at the time I didn't know it. Because again, I said earlier on that I was really sure that I wasn't pregnant. And so what I felt, I thought it was like just a premenstrual cramp. You know how you can like kind of tell she's coming because you kind of get like pre-cramps. And I get severe, painful menstrual cramps almost every single month. So for me, this like little pinch was like nothing. And it wasn't even a pinch, it was an actual cramp. But I remember I felt it twice. I felt it in 2 different days. One day I felt it, and then the next day I felt it again. And that, even then I was like, oh, it's just premenstrual cramps. Like, but I do remember feeling it 2 different days. And so I don't know if for sure that's what it was, but I kind of feel like it was. And so in hindsight, I think I experienced that too. So again, if you are trying to get pregnant, you're trying to conceive, so you're kind of like hyper aware of all those 2-week wait symptoms and things like that, and you think you feel maybe multiple. You might even feel 3 or 4. That could be an indication that maybe there are 2 eggs or more eggs that are implanting in you right now. Such a weird thing to say. Okay, and the very last one, and this is just pure, just like, don't bank on this. But I think there's a little bit of truth to this, and that is just motherly intuition, female intuition. I think it's real. You know, women, we get a gut feeling, and a lot of times it's true. You know it's true. And I wouldn't have even written this one down, except I've watched other videos kind of similar to this, and a lot of the time they say, like, there was just something in the back of my mind that I kind of knew that it had happened. And like when I went in for my ultrasound, I was shocked, but I wasn't that shocked. And I think I experienced that too. If you know anything about the Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 7, and I get super excited about things very quickly. And like, I just plan things and I'm so excited, and then things just disappoint me. And so having twins has been a lifelong dream of mine that I never thought would come true. And so I had watched a couple of videos kind of like this, and a couple things kind of rang true. So there was this tiny, tiny thing in the back of my mind that was thinking, like, I wonder if there could be multiple babies in there. And so when I went to my ultrasound and we found out it was twins, again, I was shocked. Me and my husband were shocked. But there was a tiny bit of me that wasn't actually that shocked. It's weird, like, there in the back of my mind, I just feel like I kind of knew. But I wasn't allowing myself to get too excited about it, because I didn't want to be disappointed. I didn't want to go and find out I was having one baby and then be disappointed, and then that's so sad, because I should be excited anyway. So anyway, I think there's something to be said for intuition, but don't put too much stock in that. So there you have it, you guys. I would love to hear if you guys have experienced any of these, if any of these things did kind of lead to you having multiple babies. I love to hear those kind of stories, so please comment down below. I would really love it and appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to this channel. I am so excited for the videos that I have coming up. You guys, I finally have like a little bump, and I'm feeling good, and I'm just like, I'm getting really, really excited. First trimester was really hard, so it was hard to be excited, but now I'm just so excited, and I'm excited to make more videos for you guys and share this experience with you and hear your stories and everything. So I would love to hear from you guys, basically, is what I'm saying. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will talk to you guys next week with another video. Bye.